Hey, ladies. I have a question for you. Are you ready for it? Something for you to think about and answer for yourself. Have you ever felt the weight of your past experiences while trying to build a life filled with purpose? Just maybe you're on this journey, but the struggle to find the right support system feels overwhelming. Today, we're going to acknowledge those challenges and explore how to construct a supportive community that uplifts and empowers you. Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to our Resolution Revolution 5-part series. Today, we're delving into a topic that is so near and dear to me. And I know I've said that before in other lives, but this one is really something I utilized in my life that helped me get to those places that I was struggling with, right? So I just want to know, if you experience trauma and you're on the path to living a life of purpose, and you've encountered some challenges in creating solid support network, today we're going to acknowledge those hurdles and explore practical strategies to construct a community that understands and uplifts you, right? So before we dive in, I want to send it over to Trauma Addiction Recovery, Sonia, and have her introduce herself. Coach Sonia?
Yes, Coach Natalie. I was looking for something. I'm sorry. I am Trauma Addiction Recovery Coach Sonia, and I am a woman who has experienced addiction as a trauma response. And I am very. I'm sorry. I'm a little bit
That's
Let me
okay.
start again.
That's
Yeah.
okay.
Okay. I'm a person that has experienced trauma, addiction as a trauma response. And as my own personal experience of overcoming various traumas, I am very, very motivated to support other women who have experienced addiction as a trauma response as well. And I am here to help you navigate through your recovery journey. I do not help women that are in the addiction process right now, but I do provide them with the guidance and the assistance they need. But I do not treat addiction directly. I only help those that are moving forward and are in their recovery process or a journey, but they're still trying to find that place in life, and they trying to fulfill goals, maintain recovery for a long term. I can help you set up goals. I can help you with coping skills. I can help you set up a plan for a long term recovery. And as well as me with my own personal experience, I want to share that I have gone through therapy myself. I have done the work. I do a lot of healing myself. I do maintain myself trauma informed as well. So I want to coach other women that are also willing to do a long-term recovery with the right coping skills necessary that they need to continue living a fulfilling life without and beyond addiction. So today, ladies, I want to welcome you all tonight to the Revolution Resolution. This is episode four, right, Natalie? Episode four,
Yes, it is. Yes, it
and we
is.
are speaking on the the power of community and building a support network for trauma informed goals. Okay, so Coach Natalie has something prepared very good for us. And I just want to say that I am thrilled because this is our fourth. We got one more episode coming, and then we got good news for you. Please stay tuned. And remember, if you are streaming from our Facebook, please go into YouTube, subscribe, log in through our Facebook, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our future content, okay? And our future episodes and lives. You want to get all as much information and maintain yourself trauma informed. Tonight is going to be epic because we are speaking about the power of community and building support. Ladies, you cannot miss out. I want to tell you that I am especially going to be monitoring all the comments. So if you are watching from wherever part of the state. Me and Natalie, we're in Atlanta, Georgia.
Yes.
Please let us know where you're tuning in from. um, there's going to be a question and answer segment too, where Natalie's going to be asking a question. Please provide an answer. Let us know. Answer the question. Let us know also in the future if there's any topic you would like for us to discuss. If you have any questions toward our tonight's live show, please feel free to put it in the comments and we will respond to you in a timely manner. And I just want to say that we are trying to build a community as well. And if you're trying to be part of the community, this is the place to be. She's taking her life back. YouTube. We are going to be bringing to y'all so much content, so much information. You're going to be so strong. This 2024, you're going to build that resilient. You're going to be able to achieve your goals. Just stay tuned, ladies, because we have so much we want to offer. We have workbooks coming out. I know Natalie has a workbook coming out. I have a worksheet already available on my past live
Yes.
on overcoming obstacles and setbacks. So please go in and check our lives. Go to our profiles on Facebook. Go to She's Taking Her Life Back. Join the Learning Lounge and keep all this information. Other than other than that, remember that we are here to support you and guide you, and we are Trauma Informed Team. Back to you, Natalie.
All right. Thank you, Trauma Addiction Recovery Coach Sonia. Before I begin, I also want to introduce myself. I don't want to take it for granted that we don't have anybody new viewing the live or even the replay. So just to share a little bit about me, again, I am Natalie, and I'm the CEO and founder of She's Taking Her Life Back. And as well as that, I am such a dedicated trauma mindset coach, and how did I get here? I got here beginning with my own journey of transformation, beginning to make a decision that, what, I need to do something different in my life because, it was almost 35 years that I was coping with my trauma by using substances. And then it got to the point I kept saying to myself, like, there's more to my life than what I'm seeing in front of me. There's more. So I began that journey of healing after I began to put down the substances. And from there, I began this journey of becoming a professional counselor. So I've been doing that. And those who know, if you've been working in the field of addiction treatment, which was my specialization, one of them, my main one, my first love, after years and years of being in the field of addiction, they started talking about the word trauma. And then they began to research it more and understood that majority of women and men that seek treatment have trauma in their history. Now, we're not even talking about the ones who don't seek treatment, because we know there are much more people that don't seek treatment that do. So there's a lot of more people out there in the world who are using substances as a trauma response. And not only that, there are a lot of people out there that are using eating as a trauma response to cope with their feelings. There's a lot of people out there who are gambling. So there are many addictions that people fall into, but their goal was, I don't want to feel these trauma responses. It's just too much for me. So what can I do to get rid of it? What can I do to feel good? So that's where I began. I began to do a lot of study. I think probably within my 20th year working as the counselor, I began to do a lot of studying about trauma. When we were required to, then I began to enjoy it because I was like, you know what? This research that I'm doing really answers a lot of questions that I pose within my own life. Like, why did all this happen? Why did I even use substances? Why did I get into unhealthy relationships? Why I couldn't stop? I began to really study that. And then I began to do a lot of healing. Like Sonia mentioned, I too went to therapy and still are in therapy for a different reason. I haven't been in therapy like all these years, but I know enough in my life that when it gets to the point where I get stuck, I'm going to seek some professional help. And where I got stuck is like, when I was thinking about my purpose, procrastinating, sabotaging opportunities. Even though I had a lot of success as counselor, I've held a lot of good positions, did really well in the field. About my purpose, I kept sabotaging that. I kept sabotaging writing my book. I kept sabotaging all kinds of opportunities, even when She's Taking a Life Back. And then I began to do some more healing. And then after that, I realized that if I'm doing this type of healing and I'm getting my life together and I'm becoming happy and I'm walking towards my purpose, I want to help other women do the same. And if that sounds like about where you're at, put it in the chat. Like, that's me too.
Mhm.
So if you're that person, like Sonia mentioned, like, Sonia doesn't treat addiction, although she's a trauma addiction recovery coach, but as a board certified counselor, I did that too, but I made a decision I wanted to do more because I understood a lot of the problem came from way back. And it's a lot of some physical problems, but it's a lot of psychological and emotional reasons why people do what they do and why they sabotage successes. So I said I wanted to create an organization, and I did. And I named it She's Taking a Life Back based on me taking my life back and helping other women take their life back. So that's where She's Taking Life Back came from. And we pretty much we doing coaching programs. We go on live, we do all those things. But the end of 2023, we made a decision that we want to have a talk show. And really what that came out of is that every time we did a live, we would go longer than expected. Like, we would have all these things to talk about and it would just never be enough time. So we said, you know what, let's come up with a talk show. Because with the talk show, sometimes we can come with some statistical information, some other information, but more than anything else, we can bring our personalities. We can bring the truth. We can just be relaxed and say whatever it is, while at the same time bringing you information that's going to help begin to change your life at the same time, right? So with that, that's why I came up with She's Taking Life Back. And that's why also again became a trauma mindset coach. Because I also know many people that became substance free, many people that stopped gambling, many people that really kind of was able to stop their addiction, right? But their lives weren't happy. They either switched addictions or later on went back to the original addiction because they really didn't heal the trauma. They really didn't do that. And I find that a lot of the trauma has something to do with your mindset. Because we can be out of a domestic violence situation. We can be out of using substances. We can be, away from, the responses that our sexual assault has caused us, like not feeling safe in the world. We can get out of those situations. And it could be years ago that we were in those situations. But I found out if you don't change what's in your mindset and your trauma mindset, you can be sabotaging opportunities. You can be frustrated like I was at a point in my life, just sitting back and saying, well, you know what? I have the skill set. I have the passion. So why am I not achieving these goals? What is really going on here? Have you ever asked yourself that? And then I found out there was some healing I needed to do, because early in life, when we grow up and we're real young, our brains, they start making pathways, so and these pathways tell us how we respond to certain things. And a lot of it is on automatic pilot. But when we talk about changing our lives and going to new places, we have to change those pathways. If we don't change those pathways, no matter how much knowledge that we get, every time we put ourselves in certain positions, we're going to go back to the default. We're going to go back to how we used to operate. And I'm going to get more clear with that if you really understand it as we go forward in today's talk. So again, yes, that's why I created She's Taking a Life Back. And I'm super excited about 2024. If you don't know, Sonia and I, we were preparing late in December of 2023. And we said, you know what, 2024, we really going to go hard in helping women achieve their goals. So in December of 2023, we began to talk about preparing the mindset, having information so people understand what is the trauma mindset. What is she talking about? What is this trauma mindset coach thing is about? What is this trauma addiction recovery coach is about? What does that have to do with anything? And we start preparing with other subjects. So if you have not seen that video, go to She's Taking a Life Back here on YouTube and click on those videos that we had. And we ended the year with a great celebration, introducing our family members and sharing our goals. Then came 2024, where we're here now. We said January is all about trauma mindset goals, trauma goals, how we achieve those goals, but from a trauma-informed perspective. So we began to do that. And like Sonia said, this is part 4 of 5. Look, I'm so excited. This has been a real, it's been a real, I don't want to say eye opener for me because I've learned a lot of the stuff, but just to see and put it in action and do more research and do all of that just gave me the motivation to really say, you know what, I'm going to keep moving on my journey because there's things I want to do. There's things I need to implement. Because we're coaches doesn't mean that we don't have any areas of our lives that we need to work on. And this month really, really ignited me to do some other stuff that I wanted to do, right? So here we are in part 4. And what part 4 is about is building a trauma-informed network. And I want to share with you why that's so important, right? So you may be asking yourself, have you seen, our posts and our ads on social media? And we were like talking about today, we're going to talk about building a support network for trauma-informed goals. I don't know, but if I saw it and I wasn't a part of She's Taking a Life Back, I would be thinking like, what is the difference between building a support network and building a trauma-informed network? Did you ask yourself that question?
Mhm.
What is the difference? Well, let me share with you what the difference is, right? So your regular support networks helps you chase those dreams, right? They help you chase it. They help support you. But when we talk about a trauma-informed approach, it goes a bit deeper. It's about understanding and respecting the unique challenges that come with the history of trauma. So in this space, we're not just aiming for goals. We're creating an environment that's super aware of potential triggers, emotional complexities, and the specific needs of those who've been through tough times. It's not just about reaching milestones. It's about a holistic well-being and overall well-being, not just one part, right? So in a nutshell, building trauma-informed support network is like having a team that's not only cheering for your successes, but also understands the importance of healing and resilience. And resilience is that bounce back. So let's explore this journey together, all right? So the first thing that I want to do, I want to have a discussion with you, right? I have some discussion points that I want to talk about. And the first one is the lack of exposure to role models. This discussion I want to talk about is some of the things that we experience when we have a history of trauma and we haven't healed that mindset. What are those brick walls that we go up against that stop us from achieving our goal? And one of them is a lack of exposure to role models. A lack of exposure to role models have not been around certain people when they have goals in their life. Let me give a personal example of what I'm talking about. Like for whatever reason, God always put this in my head that I was going to achieve more. I knew in my life that I wanted to reach people. I wanted to help people. I've always helped people. Even as a little broken girl, I was the one that supported everyone, right? He put that passion inside of me and had me think about it on a big level. Right. So although I did some wonderful things as a professional counselor, I went from, clinical supervisor, clinical director, I've done all those things and even creating my own organization. But as I sat with myself, I said to myself, this is not it. There's more. And I want to share this story that just popped in my head, like with my youngest daughter. So I had moved, to another part of Georgia, in Augusta, Georgia at the time. I moved there. And while I was there, I had my job. I was clinical director of an organization, but I made sure I worked only part-time. And the reason being is because I had this mindset that I wanted to open up a substance abuse outpatient program. I wanted to do some counseling on outpatient because I've always knew that, once I became a co-founder of a recovery organization back in 1991, as I was gaining knowledge in the field, I knew I wanted to go back there. A couple of reasons. One, I had a lot of ideas and a lot of things I learned along the way, sitting next to some well-informed people like doctors and psychiatrists and therapists. I learned a lot. And I said, well, with this information, I want to be able to, instill my way of thinking about it into an organization. And we already know when you work at a different place, you're pretty much operating the way they want you to operate. And I kept telling myself, well, if you're not in agreement with some of the stuff, you need to open up your own organization. So at that time, I did that. I actually leased was it one, two, three suites. I leased the building. I completely decorated the entire. Some of y'all don't even know if you know this story. I decorated the entire 3 suites. So the biggest one was our group room. I bought this huge giant whiteboard. I bought brand new chairs from Home Good. I wanted to look nice. I bought coffee pots. I'm extra. So I always want like anybody that comes in front of me to be treated so well. So I made sure it was decorated nicely. It was comfortable. It was beautiful, right? Then I had my office. Then I had another office for another counselor. Then I had the reception area. We had all that together. And not only that, I really went hard in selecting the people that was going to be on staff. Because I wanted to make sure that they had the mindset like I did. I want them to be real caring people, right? So I came really, really close to actually opening. And what happened is my daughter came to me and said, Mommy, this is not what you're supposed to be doing. And honestly, and my daughter, she was young at the time. I think she was in high school, but my daughter's just she's always been highly intelligent and just, she knows me. She knows what I want to do. She said, Mommy, this is not it. And I thought about it, and I'm sitting there like, I don't lease these offices, and I got all these materials. I got, got all of this stuff. But I thought about it. I said, you know what? She was right. This is not what I'm supposed to do. It was a good thing. I was equipped to do it, but it didn't come from that passionate place. I want to be honest. In my mind, it was all about, I wanted income. I wanted income because I wanted income to fuel my dream, which She's Taking Her Life Back. That was early on. But I packed up everything. I gave away the chairs. I took some stuff with me, all brand new, got rid of it and said, you know what? From here on out, I am going after my passion. I'm going after my dream. And I recognized back then, a lot of me opening up that agency, trying to open up was close to open up the agency, was me really sabotaging what I'm supposed to do. So we can sabotage in a way that what we're doing in our sabotageness, if there's a word, it'll look real good. Because anybody who walked in would have said, Natalie, you got your own agency? But they didn't know. But my daughter knew this is not it. So I closed up and I said, I'm going after She's Taking My Life Back. But as I've gone through that journey of She's Taking Life Back, I hit a lot of brick walls, And one of the things that I learned and along the way is that a lot of those brick walls is during a time that I was doing it by myself. A lot of those brick walls were based on I wasn't seeing anybody around me doing it. Have you ever grew up or found yourself at some point of your life and you said, this is my dream, but I don't know anybody that's doing it, right? And when we get to that point, we start thinking, well, no one else is doing this. Some of us give up on our dream because no one else is doing it. Who can I talk to about it? Who can show me how to do it? There's no role models in my life. I'm here to tell you as we move on, we're not going to let that stop you. But it does stop people. Because I can remember even in my career, like a lot of the counselors and therapists, they were talking about they wanted to be clinical director. And I was like, I don't do that. That was their dream, to be the director of the program. My dream was always higher. Like I want to speak to women. I want to speak to women around the world to share with them that they can take their life back. And it doesn't matter if you went through trauma. It doesn't matter you had a cycle of domestic violence relationships. It doesn't matter if you were just, you had a history of childhood sexual assault and it taught you not to trust no one. It doesn't matter. You know, if you can change your mindsets, you can change that whole way of thinking around. And it doesn't happen overnight. You know, it happens with help. Like I said, I went to professional help. So Sonia and I, we want to be that professional help for you to show you how to do it, show you the steps that we've taken to say, you know what, no matter what's going on in my life, I'm looking forward and I'm going after she's taking my life back. And that she's taking life back represents us. We're that she, but now we want to help you be a part of the she who's taking her life back. You know, we don't have excuses because we know all we have to do is transform our mindset. So if there's somebody out there and you're thinking that because there was no one around me, that I didn't have any role models to show you, oh, we're going to dispel that. We're going to take that off the table, because from here on, after listening to this live and you hear me talk about, you know what, we don't allow excuses to stop us. All we know is that when we start thinking that way, we need to make a shift in our thinking. And we're going to help you do that. We're going to help you do that. So you want to comment? Have you ever felt that way? Like you wanted to do something, but there was no role models to show you how?
Yes, Natalie, actually, give me a second. I don't want nobody to think nothing. My charger, I don't know why it's not charging and I don't want it to go off, but I do. Actually, as I was growing up, I didn't have no role models. There was a lot of drinking going on in my house, a lot of unhealthy behaviors. And I didn't have no role models. And then at a certain age, when I was 5 till I was like 11, I lived with a single parent, which was my father. My mom was out of the picture. And my dad worked from, by the time me and my brothers woke up to go to, well, I was in elementary to go to school. My oldest brother that was in 6th grade was the one that take us to school. We got ready by ourselves. My dad was already gone to work. He was gone. So I know I'm a hard worker because I saw it from my father. He'd get up, he'll go to work, we'll go to school, we would come back home and we would find lunch cooked for us because he would come on his lunch to cook for us, but he would go back to work. So we would be home and he would get off at 5 or 6 from work, but he wouldn't make it home till like midnight because from work he was drinking with the co-workers and everything, and it was too overwhelming for him because he was going through his own struggle by losing his wife. So I didn't have a role model, but I know my dad worked hard. I know he loved us because on his days off work he would take us out and everything, but I didn't have that father that showed me and guided me when I was little. You know, that came as I was growing. And once you're growing, your father want to tell you, don't do this with guys. Don't let them do this. Don't get pregnant. But it was too late because of all the sexual abuse I experienced as a child, Natalie. It was hard for me to communicate and open up. I didn't have that support network to talk to my mom, talk to my own family members because the abuse was in the same house. So how what do you do? Who do you go to? And then the shame, because when you do say something, they make you feel like you're at fault and you're a child and you don't know how to deal with that. So no, it was a lot of I didn't have that. I was lack of exposure to role models. I love your question. It really hit me, and I think that's what a lot of us don't know and don't take to acknowledgement, that it does affect us in a way when we don't have that as growing up. And I know that. So now I try to maintain that with my children. And I'm trying to do my best because I feel that even though I was not that perfect role model for my children as well, because of my addiction and my unhealthy relationship with my husband, but I feel like God gave me a second chance with my child now. And I feel like I am doing a great job with my husband, with my child. But back to you, Natalie. Let me deal with this.
Thank you for sharing that, Sonia. That's another example of like not having role models. And Sonia, when you were sharing it made me think about this, about role models when you was talking about your father, because I want to understand people understand this. When we talk about achieving goals here at She's Taking Life Back, we're coming from the perspective that people may not all have the same goals, and that's okay. You know, so your goal can be like, you know, I want to open up my own business. Your goal may be, you know, I want to be a coach. Your goal may be like, you know what, I'm tired of this cycle of toxic relationships. I'm so tired. I'm so tired of asking question like, what is wrong with me that I keep tracking these unhealthy relationships? Do I have a sign on my head? Like, that could be your goal. Like, I want to find a healthy relationships. You know, I know women that I've talked to over the years that they've been through so many toxic relationships. They have like closed the door on men completely, or women, or whatever your sexuality is, and says, I don't want it anymore. I don't want it. And although I myself have been through a cycle of unhealthy relationships, you know, I've never gotten to that point where I said, I don't want it. I knew enough that, like, you know what? I knew I had to fix something inside of me. I knew that. But those cycle of unhealthy relationships happened. Part of it, a large part of it happened because I didn't have a role model in a man. My father was inconsistently in my life. My father was a womanizer. Like, I didn't have a role model. Like you said, Sonia, I didn't have that father who said, when you be with a man, you do this, you do. I didn't have that. I didn't have that around. And when you grew up in the neighborhood I grew up in, there were some two-parent households when the majority of parents were raising children by themselves, and majority of those parents were women. So the lack of a role model led me to picking the wrong man for the wrong reasons. So if that's your goal here, and she's taking life back, helping you change your mindset, help you can change from someone who says, I don't want a relationship anymore, to maybe if I can learn how to find one, if I can learn the signs, maybe if somebody can be that role model for me who's been in unhealthy relationships and has been able to obtain a healthy relationship, maybe if I can see that in someone, maybe that will give me hope. Well, again, that's what we're about. You know, one day I'm going to have, I talked to Sonia about this. One day we're going to have her and her husband on to talk just about that. Because Sonia will tell you she's been in unhealthy relationships, but now she's in a healthy relationship with her husband, who she always says, and he's awesome. One of her accountability partners.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's awesome. He's really lends his hand to, she's taking life back.
She's taking her life back. He says, when he be doing his schoolwork, because my husband gonna graduate in a month,
Yeah.
I'd be like, hey baby, we're gonna watch a movie. I'd be on my day off, and he'd be like, don't talk to me, I'm taking my life back. I'm like,
That's right. Look.
And that motivates me to go and do what I gotta do for she's taking her life back. While he's doing his work, I do mine, or we plan it together, Natalie. And like you say, having that support network, because sometimes I'll be sitting on the couch on my day off. I clean, I wake up early, I clean, and I'm with my son. And then I go sit on the couch and I might scroll through the phone or watching something. And he's like, baby, you already did everything you had to do for today. Did you check your reminders? Do you have anything to do? So we can just watch. And I'm like, well, I do have to do the post. I do. He said, well, go ahead and do it. If you wait till later, then you're going to be overwhelmed. And I'm like, he's right. But it's always good to have that little push. It's always good to have, like Natalie says too. Sometimes I receive messages from Natalie. We inbox each other. Hey, did we do this? Can I have the graphic for this? Well, and we have meetings every week. We on the BC Burge, but that's the part of having a network that I know that if I can, something came upon, like we said last time, obstacles, setbacks. It might be external, internal. It might be something happening. I know Natalie got it. And if Natalie, for some reason, was to say, hey, Sonia, I might not be the 100% professional, but I'm going to be out here and I'm going to talk to you all. And we're going to talk about something.
Yes.
Something about trauma informed, something about how to continue living that addiction-free life, something about healthy relationships, something about self-sabotage. But we're going to have a discussion.
Absolutely.
It's not going to let you all down. It's going to be here for you all.
Yes. And
that was one of our goals. We are going to make sure the show must go on no matter what happens.
Yes.
Electricity, we got to make it happen.
Look, and we did a show like a month ago. I was staying with a friend for a little while I transitioned to, I had to make another transition. But the internet was just horrible because it was near the airport. We were still doing a show, and I'm like, you know what, this looks so bad on YouTube, but we're gonna continue on. And it wasn't only just because of the viewers, it was for us, because like we're taking our life back. So we have to make sure that we have skill sets. One is consistency, no matter what. No matter whatness we're doing it. We even prepared, like, if somebody get kicked off and Julia's, I'm sorry, I'm thinking about other Coach Julia. Sonia's internet goes off or my internet goes off, we can take each other role and let's keep on going with the subject. So we're prepared. So we're saying that because, back to role models, and many people don't go after their dreams because they don't have anybody to show them. So for those who don't, you can take advantage of She's Taking a Life Back. Whether you do it through signing up for our coaching program, which those who want that intense work, or just continue to look at the lives. Continue to look at the talk shows. Continue to purchase those workbooks, which is at a phenomenally low price, right? And we'll talk more about that later. But there's different ways that you can get exposure to a role model. So I'm going to hold up and wait till we get the strategies. But I want to talk about the pain points. I want you to understand that I see you and I get you, and that how we had similar experiences. And then we're going to say what we're going to do about it. We're going to talk about that, right? So yeah, lack of exposure. That's a big one for people. Don't give up your dream because somebody around you is not doing it. We're going to help you find out how to find that person. All right? So let's go to the next one. Woo, this one is deep. There are a lot of times that people are not getting accountability partners because of their unhealed trauma. And what do I mean by that? I am such a proponent to educate people. And even though I can educate people, that doesn't mean they're going to receive it, but I'm definitely going hard on the education part, right? So when it comes to unhealed trauma, there's several things going on. Like, one of the things that goes on, that there's some people think they don't have to heal their trauma because the trauma happened when I was 5 years old. Or, my father wasn't in my life, so what? You know what? He didn't mean anything anymore. He didn't mean anything to me then. He doesn't mean anything to me now, and it doesn't affect my life. He don't even exist when it comes to me. That person that says that is giving off a trauma response, and they don't understand how thinking that way is negatively impacting their life. I love the world of the subconscious mind, right? Because things happen that we are unaware of, right? Are you asking yourself, are you thinking about your goals you've been trying to achieve for years and saying, like, why can't I achieve it? When you ask, why can't I achieve it? It's because you don't know. Because it may be operating in a way that you are not even aware of. That's how the subconscious mind works. And I want to tell you, it doesn't matter how many New Year's resolutions you say, I want to stop smoking, I want to lose weight, I want to start my business. It doesn't matter how much you say it out of your mouth, and we're consciously aware of it. And it's good to say it out loud. It's good to say it to certain people sometimes. But as many times you have said it out of your mouth, have you been able to achieve that goal yet? I always tell people, just be open-minded enough. You don't have to agree, but just be open-minded to explore something different, because that may be the answer. It may be because there's some of the trauma that you have dealt with has been unhealed. You haven't addressed it, or you think it's not an issue. And that's where coaches come in. We're trained. We are trained to connect the dots for you. We're trained to say, well, maybe it's there. And we're trained to say, let's take a look at this. Educate yourself about this. But we're not going to do the work for you. And, but we can point you to the direction and say, research this. We'll give you information along with other things. That's just one part of it. Because I want you to understand that there are traumas that are affecting you today that happened years ago. And just because you don't have knowledge of it doesn't make it not true. And then I say to myself, or hopefully you can say to yourself, well, you know what? Nothing else has worked. I have not been able to achieve my goal yet. So let me explore what Coach Sonia and Coach Natalie's talking about. I can't figure it out up today. It's not going to hurt. Let me just, listen to this trauma thing that I really don't agree with, but I'm going to listen. because my goal is I want to achieve that goal. And it means that I'm going to have to listen to something I don't agree with. I'm going to listen anyway. That's actually how I began my journey years ago. That's how my life evolved. I was open to new information that I didn't hear. I was open, so it meant that I had to do some work that was uncomfortable for me. I was willing to do it because the goal meant this. The goal was I get to break the cycle of unhealthy relationships, and I get to have some hope that it is that good man out there. And I know this good man because I had one. The one I sabotaged. Right? My daughter's father, my children's grandfather, was the only man in my life that was such a wonderful man. I sabotaged that because of my unhealed trauma. And I said to myself, we're gonna fix some stuff because I don't want to push away Mr. Right again. And I don't want to keep attracting Mr. Wrong. So if that's your goal, you know what? Hey, you landed in the right place. And know that that's probably why people are not getting support system, because they think, you know what? I don't have a problem. My problem is not that. So therefore, they're not going for help. Does that make sense?
Yes,
You know,
absolutely. Absolutely, Natalie. Yeah,
yeah,
you left me. I was like, wow, because that unhealed trauma, not only does the unhealed trauma stop you from achieving your goal, it's the denial part that we don't see.
yes.
It's the denial part because we say, well, I went to therapy and I told the therapy that I was being abused and I was in an unhealthy relationship,
Mhm.
but maybe I didn't tell the therapy. um I'm not I don't want nobody to misinterpret this because I don't want to have somebody say, well, you saying that it was my fault. No, but there's a part we play sometimes when we let the situation go on so long. That
Yeah.
means even there's, yes, I understand the victim and I understand when we're traumatized, but then we go we go to therapy and we go and do the healing, but then we go back to an unhealthy relationship again, right?
Mhm.
So we already know the signs, but we keep telling ourselves, no, he's different. This time is different. Oh, it's,
Oh,
or we say, well, it's not his fault. It's my fault. So we're still in denial and we're still doing that self blame.
yeah.
So we ain't healed completely. We truly ain't healed. And that's what most of this time happens. And we go on seeing all this other stuff. So we're like, when we're like Natalie says, this is the reason why Natalie, I love the trauma informed and the way she says it, because Natalie, I was like an onion. Natalie helped me peel a lot of that when I started when she's taking her life back at the beginning. Natalie, I'll be like, oh, I'm so frustrated. And Natalie be like, why? I can't, but why? Because, but what? And I'm like, what does she mean? Why? I just told her why. But she's like, no, but why? So I was like, well, because I'm not doing this. I'm not. Okay. And there we go. And that's how she started. And I started learning that I had to see what was stopping me. And it
Mhm.
was some of the things I hadn't healed, like the self sabotage, not believing on myself. I still had self limited beliefs about myself, about getting over even my employment, like we talked about. I've shared this story before, and there was a lot of things where I was being stopped, not because nobody was stopping me, but my self-limited beliefs and some of my unhealed trauma. Still, that word of being said no was stopping me because
Yeah.
I was afraid.
Yes.
I
Mhm.
had it from that as a child, being told no. Can I have no? Can we no? I need this for school. No. So then it got to a point where I'm not even gonna ask because I already know they're gonna say no. So
Mhm.
haha, we go to the store. I ain't gonna ask for nothing. My brother's gonna get in trouble, but I'm not gonna. They're not gonna tell me no. So I learned not to ask. If I wanted something, I work for it, or I
Mhm.
hustle it, or whatever you want to call it. But I work for mine, and
Mhm.
that's how I was. And now I say, well, if I do this, I don't want to hear the word no. So I had to work through that unhealed trauma, Natalie. So yes, yes, I love it. I love it.
Yeah. And another thing, what happens when you don't heal that mindset, you start operating based out of wrong information that you adopted over the years. Like I'm sitting here thinking about all these wrong messages, not only that came from my family, but in the neighborhood I grew up with, which prevents people from reaching out to a support system. One of them is you don't trust anybody. Have y'all heard that? Don't trust no one. People are living by wrong information, right? And that came from trauma. It came from someone trusted someone and was betrayed. And after that, they said, no more. I'm not trusting anybody. Then they're around a circle of people who say the same things. You don't trust nobody. Don't trust nobody. And then when it comes time for you to give a little bit of trust, you say, I'm not going after that person. Although they could be a good part of my network, they can possibly help me. I'm not asking them because I don't trust them. You know, I'm not paying for she's taking a life coaching program because all they doing is scamming. They just scamming. They just scam. They just want your money. You know, all those things that you've heard growing up, wrong information that puts up a barrier to asking for help, for building a network because you don't trust. You don't trust. So you're not going to invite anybody into your circle, which leads me into the next reason why people don't invite people in their life that can help them because of misplaced loyalty. So what does that mean? You know, these trust issues, you know, they result in only relying on familiar circles and you avoid reaching out past those boundaries. Like you stay within your inner circle and try to get all you can from them. Right? And if you dare step out of that circle, in your mind, you tell yourself you're being disloyal. Mm-hmm. And you start hearing things from people like, you know what? You've changed. Right? You know, you're not being loyal. You forgot about us. Who do you think you are now? You know what I mean? And then people hear that and then they stay with the familiar people. And they stay with them because one of the reasons they're familiar. You know, when you experience trauma, remember I talked about the difference between obtaining goals and obtaining trauma-informed, building a trauma-informed network. See, that person around you is going to understand that, you know what, there's some fear there. There's some fear there that came from way back. So when we do this networking thing, I have to go in and understanding that I'm not just going to say, you know, I want you to go to that event and I want you to go meet those people. Like if you experience trauma and it affected you in a way that you have anxiety, right? And for me, like I was undiagnosed. I was diagnosed kind of by myself, kind of undiagnosed with social anxiety. So I prevented myself from going out and meeting people and because anxiety kicked up. So back then you couldn't just say, go do this. There's no way it happened because my palms would start getting sweaty. Yeah. I start shaking and my heart starts racing. And I'm like, I'm not doing it. I'm not going because you telling me to go someplace that's outside of my circle, that's outside of my familiar, creates all of these responses and they're trauma responses. And that keeps us in places with familiar people because being around familiar people, no matter how much they cannot help you go to the next level of your life, they cannot help you getting that good relationship. We're going to remain there because we feel like this. Like I can hang out with these people. I know their talk. I know what to expect. I don't have to risk anything. But what happens is that not only that you surround yourself into a prison around the same people, you also block out the people that can help you, that won't hurt you, that you can trust. You know, and I know that I lived that way for years, like way back when. You know, I'm not going to be disloyal to my crew. And I'm not. But when I wanted to think about the things I wanted to achieve, and there were times like as a teenager, like when I was 17, I would go places by myself, right? Because nobody around me wanted to do that. But after a while, that passion to go to other places and meet other people started to fizzle away because I felt alone. And that feeling of alone was a trauma response for me because feeling alone felt like I'm not, nobody's supporting me. Nobody's loving me. Nobody's with me. I'm out here by myself. I'm different. These are all the messages that I was telling myself based on the trauma from my past. And I couldn't take that So I said, you know what? I'll just give my dream, and I'll just be around my friends who didn't have the same dreams, who wasn't doing the things that I wanted to do, and it was okay because I was feeding a void that I was having. And at that time, the void I had to be accepted, to be wanted, and to be loved was more important than going after my dream. And if I go through a list of opportunities that I have missed over the years, that I have given up over the years, just to be down with my crew, just to be around my friends, I can tell you, I'm like, thank God for, the keep it moving attitude. Thank God for that. Because you know what? I had misplaced loyalty. And even now, like now that I'm older, and occasionally I would say to myself, if I had the chance to turn it back, I promise you, my friends at that time would not be that important. It wouldn't be that serious. It would not be that serious. But at that time, 17, I wanted to be with my friends. They wasn't thinking about what I was thinking. So my loyalty was misplaced. Another form of misplaced loyalty is that if you come from a family, right? And your family, no one in your family has, like say graduated from college, or nobody in your family has opened up the business, and you haven't seen that, right? You don't know enough you don't have that motivation or that push enough to say, well, I'm going to be the one to be the first in my family. Not everybody has that. Not everybody has that. And some family members do not encourage you. They'll tell you, you know what? You're lady for that dream. You go get you a regular job. Now you're dreaming. This is the real world. You need to get a real job. All that dream, all that, you put that to the side. We ain't got time for that. And then a lot of us grow up living a life that our parents wanted us to live. We start going to the colleges based on our parents wanted us to go there. And we know deep inside, we have this dream to do something different. And you see a lot of people like at my age, or maybe a little bit younger, and I'm 61, they get older and they've been in this job for like 25 years. Then they get to the point where, you know what? Forget this job. I'm going after my dream. I'm going after the passionate place that I've been counting around for me for years. But because they wanted to be loyal to their family, they didn't want to get any pushback from their family. They decided, let me be loyal to my family instead of loyal to my dream. That's misplaced loyalty. Wanting to stay around the same kind of thinking, the way of being that you've always been around, that your friends are doing, that your family's doing, and you feel like I have to be loyal. I have to. That's misplaced loyalty. And that prevents you from going out and meeting new people, that you can create a whole circle of influence that's already there, where it's already at the place you're trying to go, or either going at the same speed, but they're heading to the same place, to their passionate place, to their goal. Sonia, can you identify with that? Did you have that experience in your life?
Yes, I did, Natalie. Misplaced loyalty. Yes, I think I not only as when I was in my addictive years, but before that, I think the misplaced loyalty to the family that was the abusers, the misplaced loyalty to them, because not loyalty to them, but it was like you would thought you couldn't say nothing, you couldn't speak out of the family, what happened at home stays at home, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
that was an unwanted, but it was a misplaced loyalty that you had to keep it because you couldn't speak out of it. And then from there, it went to being the misplaced loyalty. I'm gonna tell you where I think it went. One of my worst ones was on my husband. I love my husband, and I love my husband right now. I'm speaking about my abusive
I was
relationship.
about to say, clarify which husband.
Yeah, my first husband, the father of my children, whom I married first at a young age. I was um, 18 when we were together, 19, around 19 and a half, 20 when we got married. And we were together. We had 5 children. It was a long, it was like crazy toxic because He was a great person, sober. Sober was a good dad. Sober was a good husband. We laughed. We had fun. And I talked to that to my husband now, to my spouse Ronald, which is my support network. I tell him it's weird because I didn't have no hatred to my ex-husband. And I want to clarify that because his drinking, he had a problem drinking, but I knew it and I allowed it. I became like a codependent, but at the same time, there was abuse, but I was I was used to that abuse as a child, so I didn't see it as an abuse until it got to the point where the abuse became physical, and then it got out of hand. But I was loyal to him because that was my husband. That's the father of my children. And as a wife, I was taught that a wife, served her husband, and you raise your children, and that's your job. I I am, for those of you, I know most of you I must know because of my accent and everything, but I am Hispanic. I'm a Latino Hispanic. My parents were Mexicans. So as our Mexican culture, the women stay at home. She serves the husband. She cooks. She cleans. Raises the children. The husband go do what he want to do. Besides, work, bring the money, like Natalie said, and then hey, I'm gonna go up about mine. Go drink. Go party. Go with the friends. Come back. So there was that misplaced loyalty towards him because I was being loyal and faithful, but I wasn't receiving the same loyalty. But hey, how am I gonna leave? And then the children, and I'm the women. Like how does that gonna look? Like he can do that because he's a man, but I'm a woman. I can't do that.
Yeah. Wow. Woo.
And it's crazy, but it's truth. And I'm Natalie speaks on the what you call that term, Natalie, when you speak clinical term, the clinical term.
Which
Clinical
one?
term, the way you speak clinical term, like very professional. I'm speaking the English term. So I'm gonna say it is crazy, but it's true. And Natalie, all these points you've talked tonight, they hit me because it's different to what I was expecting. So it is wow, it's mind blowing because I sometimes we don't see it on that perspective.
Yeah.
We only see it as, like you said, without the trauma informed, just having a support network, having that group of people. Oh, I do website. Let me hang with these people that do websites too. Oh, I'm into golfing. Let me get with this people that do golfing, that do football. And that's our mentality. Oh, I'm trying to make money. Let me get with this people that get money. And we think that's just the support. But as a trauma informed, I want to say thank you because I've learned a lot too tonight. Besides, I'm
Cool.
myself.
I was even thinking when every time that and this is literally every time that you share, Sonia, you just trigger something in my mind. You trigger a memory. So you do the same for me. And I was just thinking about there's so many ways I can go, but I'm gonna say this, and for the sake of time, I'm gonna move on. But I remember like my intelligence was able to get me a promotion, right, on this job. And I got a promotion. So now all my peers, where I was on the same level, like all the counselors, like now I was their supervisor. And at the same time, during that time, I was in a domestic violence relationship at that time. And my mind was just, can you just imagine? So like, not only was I in a domestic violence relationship, because sometimes it happens when you get promoted over your peers and you become their supervisor, all of a sudden, some of them change their attitude towards you. So I'm sure you can relate because you were the assistant manager. Like, some of them get really hostile and some of them just like resistant. Right. And when I had experienced that when I got that promotion, that triggered me. Because one, I was already in a domestic violence relationship. I had all these thoughts and feelings about myself that I didn't heal at the time. So all that was triggering me, and I couldn't really work effectively. I couldn't work even though I was well qualified, I couldn't work because I had triggers just going off every day, all day. And I really had to I would lead the clinical team meeting, right? And I'd be sitting there like, okay, Nelly, just get it together. Don't focus on what they're saying. It was challenging. You know what I mean? And there's some people, there's some bosses, some supervisors, they experience that same thing. So what they do is like, okay, let me just be cool with them. I want them to like me. So let me make sure they, I don't disturb them. And that was never gonna happen with me. I'm definitely gonna do what I need to do, but inside, I was just like triggers were going off every day. I was getting it at work, I was getting it at home, I was just getting it everywhere, and I really couldn't function. And I just want to say that because um, that was like the beginning of me really honestly like breaking free for some stuff. It may not make sense because in the past, had I got that position, I'd have been one of them. Okay, I'm their boss, but I want to be cool with them, and I want them to like me. But it was during that time because I had did some healing. Like even though that some of them were being resistance, I'm going to make sure my loyalty is with me and my job. And I remember at that time, I went downstairs and I remember this lady, and we give a shout out to Dr. Primrose. I went down there and I jumped into counseling, and I'm like, I got to get myself together. I'm now, my title is program coordinator. You know what I mean? I'm coordinating the entire program. So I have to be able to be confident. And so, we went through all of that, and I did some healing and trauma. And, but you know what? I just was thinking about that. That's like some of the steps I've took to become loyal. But prior to that, I would have had some misplaced loyalty. I'd have been like, I want them to like me. And I am Sonia. By the time I got to the, I can say Salvation Army, like, look, look.
You don't have to like me. You don't have to like me. It's okay. It's okay.
It was okay. I had healed so much. It was okay. And the reason why, in my mind, it was like, my loyalty now is to God. And my loyalty to God is that I promised him, if he would get me out of this domestic violence situation, that I promised him that I'll make sure that I carry the message that change is possible. And I'll talk to as many women as I can. And that became my loyalty. So, and when anybody that knows me about when I worked in the field, like I would seriously want to help my clients. And sometimes you work around people who really don't have that same passion. And usually those people are the ones that don't like me. And I got to the point where it didn't matter if you didn't like me. Like, forgive me for saying this, God, this is the other part of me, but I'm going to say it, keep it real. I would say I have a long list of people that don't like me. You might want to get a number, get on the end of that line, but I want to tell you that line is very long. And that's because I not sarcastically said that to some, or I said it in my head. And that's because I decided to be loyal to God and to myself. I was no longer going to be loyal to that hole in my soul. I was no longer going to be loyal to, like, I want to be liked and I want to be loved. I want people, and I didn't want to feel that feeling of someone not liking me. At that point in my life and my recovery and going through therapy in and out, I was able to stand in who I was, even at the risk of someone not liking me, because you know what? It's okay, because we're not going in the same direction anyway. This right here, this job right here, this just for the meantime while I work on She's Taking a Life Back. You ain't gonna see me after a while, don't worry about it. But again, doing some healing, I no longer misplaced my loyalty, and I put my loyalty in the right place. And Sonia knows, even when it comes to She's Taking a Life Back, like I'm all about passionate people, and like Sonia always says, like me, my clinical. In my mind, I don't sound clinical, but I guess I do because my daughter says it too. But 35 years of counseling, being a counselor. But here we go. I got sidetracked again. Being loyal, something. But let's move on. It'll come back to me. But yeah, that misplaced loyalty is something. We have to do some stuff to give that stuff up, because that can stop us from reaching out to the wrong people. Oh, let me add this before we move on. This is a big one: misplaced loyalty. Like, for example, like, when we were growing up in my neighborhood, like if it was somebody that was kind of square, that's hard for me to say that because I was kind of square. Like, people would make fun of them, even though that person was like successful in school. Like, they would get like all the hundreds in school and all the awards, and the so-called people that weren't doing that well would tease them.
Mm-hmm.
right? They would make fun of them because they were different. And I remember experiencing that, like being different and wanting to be the same and giving up that loyalty. I feel like I wanted to say something else, but giving up that loyalty. Be true to you.
Yes.
Everybody in your family's not going to go with you. All your friends that you grew up with, they're not going with you. Everybody does. God didn't give everybody the same dream. And we can't take people just because we know them and they're familiar.
And
You
that's
know,
one thing, Natalie, I want to share real quick as a trauma addiction recovery coach on the recovery part. I just want to tell our viewers that are watching, if you're in your recovery journey, just know you don't have to be loyal to the people on the back that are trying to get you back. They're always telling you, "Oh, you think you're better. Oh, you can't come because you're
yeah,
doing a meeting." I'm
yeah.
sorry, but you do not have to stay loyal to them people because they don't care about your recovery. They want to see you fail. And I'm going to say why. Because when you're not happy for me, if you're not happy for me, and that means you don't care about my well-being. So
Yeah.
just because you're still in the same place doesn't mean I don't care about you. But if I don't want to put myself in that situation and you're going to bring it up every time, I have to remove you. And that's one thing that sometimes we got to do. We have to remove certain people, places, and things. And mostly, and for most, when we're in that recovery journey, we have to set boundaries, even if it's family members, if they still drinking, if they still smoking, if they still doing unless it don't matter what it is. If you know that you do not want to be, or you don't have to, or you don't need to put yourself in that situation, you don't have to be loyal to them.
You don't
You
have it. Some of them,
need
some of them might be family members. You
to be
don't have to
loyal to
be
your
loyal.
well-being. Absolutely.
But and this is the hard part, and I got to move on. That's why I like to talk to. We can talk, but only can talk about so much, right? But there's so much information that we can give. We can never give enough on
No.
even on talk shows, even though we have a little bit more time than lives, because it's just so much information that we've learned through our own personal experience and our professional experiences. But I want to say, like, I remember, like, when I first got into substance use recovery. And I was still trying to hang out with my friends who were still using. It was easy for me to leave the friends that I really didn't care about you anyway. But when it came down to my best friend, and I was going to, like, 12-step meetings, and they were saying, like, you gotta you separate from people, places, and things. And I was like, okay, I can get with the other people. Now you're talking about my best friend.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's not gonna happen. And I remember trying to still hang out with her. And I got to a point where, like, I can't do this. And you people say, like, don't worry about when you come around, I'm not gonna have this, and that. It didn't matter because she was my best friend. So I already knew where she was going after. I knew what she had in her sock. I knew what was going on behind the scenes because I knew her. So I had to make a hard decision. And I remember talking to somebody and saying, like, well, how am I going to tell her that I can no longer socialize with you? This is my best friend. I'm her son's godmother, and I'm her daughter's godmother. This is we talking about. And I had to make that decision. So I'm not only talking about people who, like, really are, what I mean, not supportive, because she was very supportive of me. But we had for years we were together. I could totally trust her, like that kind of best friend. Like, I already knew she wasn't going to switch on me. She had my back, and always. But it came a day that I realized that there was something different I wanted in my life, and I knew this life that I was going for may not include her. I even went to her and said, "Why don't you come over here to this life of recovery with me?" And she didn't want to. Then I had to tell her, then I have to go on. And I can't come back over here anymore. That was a hard decision to make. And sometimes for your life, for your purpose, for your happiness, you may even have to make hard decisions like that. And I love, not only love her, love the family, love my godchildren, love them to death. But I had to be loyal to where I was trying to go, to this new way of life that I wanted to live. And thank God, I didn't say, well, I got to be loyal to my best friend, that I have to be, bless you, I have to be
Thank
loyal to this way of life. Because that life led me to where I'm at now, helping women around the world, and through social media and through the internet, and eventually it's going to be women around the world because I'm going to travel around the world. Thank God I made that decision. So we have to think about this misplaced loyalty that we have. And some of it we have to break up with if we want to achieve certain goals, because we have to invite new people in our lives.
absolutely.
Right? So let's move to the next one. Next one, and it's the last one before I move into the strategies. Perceived judgment.
Mm.
Perceived judgment. This is another reason why people don't build their network with people that can support them in going to their next. People that can teach them how to get into a healthy relationship. Teach people that can teach you how to get a business. People that can teach you all kinds of things. But people don't go because they're so worried about how people in that next place, on that next level, are going to view them. They're so afraid of being judged. They're so afraid. They're going to be in their minds, they're going to say, well, they're not going to accept me on that level or in that next place because I'm not like them. And I'm going to feel like I'm not a part of them. And they're going to see that in me. And they're going to see that I don't belong there. And they're going to judge me for that.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
They're going to judge me. So because I'm feeling that way, I'm going to stick to my familiar circle.
Yeah.
Who do not have the ability to help you go to the next level. People will stay with people they're familiar with rather than take a risk of perceived judgment. And I put perceived up there because a lot of times, like, we think they're going to judge us, but when we get there, they're there to support us. But they don't look like or operate like the way we're used to people operating in our past or in our present. And we're afraid to invite them in our lives. I thank God I moved past that years ago, because even and Sonia, I know you can attest to this. Like, even coming on here as the CEO and founder of She's Taking a Life Back, even coming on here as an author of my first book, I share my truth.
Mm-hmm.
I share that, yes, I am a woman in substance use recovery. Yes, I experienced a cycle of domestic violence relationships. I went through childhood sexual assault. I went through all of that. And I remember that even when I was on social media before, a man came into my inbox and said, "You really share a lot of personal things." And I just want to say that I know that. And at that point in my life, I wasn't afraid of judgment,
Oh, thank you.
because I had did a lot of healing, and I learned to love myself enough that there's no matter what you say to me, it's not going to change the way I view myself. And it's not going to change the way people who love me view me. And I often say, if you judge me, honestly, you're probably somebody that don't matter to me. And if you matter to me, you're that person that won't judge me. I'm not afraid of what people may think about. And not only that, what motivates me more than that is that I want to be that voice, and I want to be able to say, and I want to be able to present to people who are not able to get on YouTube and say, you know what, I'm this and I'm that and I'm this, because honestly, people do judge. That's the reality. People judge, but I'm not afraid of that. See, I'm more afraid of going to heaven and my Father in heaven saying, you didn't do what I called you to do. See, you didn't understand the reason why I saved you from all of that. You are more focused on people instead of me. See, I'm focused because I know my goal is to go to heaven. And my God said, well done, my good and faithful daughter. You did what I called you to do. You understood the assignment.
Mm-hmm.
You understood that all that you went through, all the struggles, all the difficulties, all of that, you understood like at some point that all you went through, it didn't feel good. It wasn't good at all. But when I started to heal my trauma, I understood like all of those things that I went through, you know what? It actually equipped me to go to my next level. Because how would I be on here? She's taking a life back had I not gone through that. How can I be here showing somebody how do you get out of that life? How do you transform your mindset? How you live in your dream if I didn't experience that myself? Who's better to help somebody than somebody that's been there? So I'm not afraid of perceived judgments, but I do know that there are people that are afraid. So I'll speak for them. So how do you feel about that? Perceived judgment. You say when you're on here, you're another truth teller.
Look, I'm gonna say this because I had an experience, and I'm gonna say this. I am a person that if I meet you and you're telling me about, oh, I'm going through this and that, I'm gonna tell you it's okay. It's okay. We go through this, and I'm gonna start talking to you in my trauma informed perspective as a person that has survived a lot of traumas, addictions, abuse, and because I've healed. And like Natalie says, God gave me a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, yeah, I'm a trauma recovery life coach. But like I said, and mark my words, in the future, I am going to be standing on a stage and I'm going to be being a motivational speaker. But I am going to speak in behalf of God and the transformation He has done in me. But I'm going to speak the truth because I have people come to me and that judgment that tell me, oh, you don't need that. Oh, you don't need to be part of that. You need God. And I know you can't tell me. I know I none of this would be possible without God.
None of it.
The person
None
I
of it.
surrender. Every time I try to go through recovery on my own, I fell back on my knees. I fell down all the way to the ground. But God, when I said, God, let it be your will, that day when I said, I'm done, what do you want from me? Like that was it for me. God told me, okay, now you're ready. So I
Yes.
will speak on his behalf and I will say the transformation he's made on me. And I'm not making this, but I'm going to tell you what I told that person that told me, oh, you don't need that. You don't need therapy because we say it's the ignorance of thinking
Yeah.
that I'm gonna put it like this. If anybody out there hasn't heard this, and I'm gonna try to be quick, Natalie, about
Mhm.
the man that was in the middle of the ocean
Oh
and
yeah.
said, God
What
save
you
me.
doing?
God send a boat. He said, no, God is gonna save me. God save me. God send a helicopter. He said no. And then he died. When he went to heaven, he said, God, why didn't you save me? I sent you a boat. I sent you a helicopter. What else?
I,
And
look,
that
I sent you. She's taking a life back. Go ahead, son.
he provides us with tools. There's therapists, psychologists, recovery centers. All this form part of that network that God sends for us.
Yes.
He's sending us all that help. He's not gonna come down there and say, "Come on, let me sit here with you and give you class." He's gonna say, "I'm sending you right here. There's somebody knocking at your door right now. There's somebody sending you a message on Facebook, posting every day saying." We're having lives. We want to
Yes.
inform you. We want to coach you. We want to help you find your purpose. We want you to break free from self-limited beliefs. But it's up for you to say, I want to take this. So leave
Yes.
that judgment. I have somebody tell me, oh, don't share your story. You're sharing too much information.
Mm-hmm.
Say stuff like that. And I had to turn around and tell my friend, which is a friend, someone I love. And if you're watching my life, because I know you always watch the replays, if you watch it, I love you. But I'm gonna repeat what I told you. And you know I'm not lying. I said, don't ever tell me not to speak on what I've been through because My past does not define who I am.
Absolutely.
I said does not define. It does not. I do not feel ashamed no more.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
tell my story because I want it to be known that I've survived and I
Yes.
am proud and that it is possible. It
Yes.
is possible. And I've been hurt and I've been in pain and I've cried and I went through all that suffering. It was when I told Natalie, I thought I had no purpose in life. I
Mhm.
thought that if I died, life would be better. My family, my children would be better because they wouldn't have to worry about me and all that. But I found that purpose, Natalie, and the healing through going through the real healing, like you say, therapy, counseling, and now continue to do that with like she's taking her life back. I follow other support groups. I get all my knowledge that I need, but I keep informing and feeding myself. I don't just sit all day and wait for the answers to fall on my lap. I use my technology in the best way, not sitting playing games, not all day procrastinating no more. Because when I did that, I was just getting all these negative thoughts again about my relationship is not going to work out. How long is it going to take for it to be over? And it's not like that. I am happy and I'm going to continue to fight for what I love. So
That's
I'm
right,
going to leave
Sonia.
out that pursuit, that
Yeah.
judgment.
Yeah. But and you know what? And many people feel that way. And I get whoever that person is, I get where they're coming from because they're thinking about the judgment.
Mm-hmm,
They're thinking about the judgment that people not may will place on you.
mm-hmm,
But I just think that like if people don't, if some people, because God didn't give this to everybody, if people, a lot of people don't tell their story, where are the people that are going through that going to get their hope? Where is their hope coming from? We share our stories because we want someone out there who is suffering in silence to say, if they can do it, I could do it. But they'll never say that if they don't hear what we have to say. But I get it. You know, there are people who are concerned with judgment. You know, I work with a lot of people, you know, a lot of people that were counselors and therapists who had substance use issues and was not going to tell anybody. And I respect that. Because it takes a lot. Not no, it don't take a lot because God gives you gifts that's not hard sometimes. But I understand what people mean because again, she knows people are going to judge. But when you have that esteem, and not only the esteem, when you know that you have this assignment that was given to you, it doesn't matter. And I tell people that, and I don't want to. We're gonna want to go over time, but I always want to share people because you know I love God. I just love God, my Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior. I love Him, and I'm so glad not only my Lord and Savior, I'm glad the most notable people in the Bible who did things out of tradition. Thank God. It was the traditional people that had difficulty with Jesus preaching on the Sabbath day. Like those
yep.
traditionalists, like you can't do this and you gotta do this and you shouldn't do this and you gotta do it. Jesus said, you know, I ain't come for all of that. I
Mm,
came to save. It don't matter what day it's on. I came here to save. And again, all the people in the Bible, that's why I love the Bible, because had they not tell their stories, there would be no Bible. For all those things, like if they didn't tell their story, we wouldn't know about Joseph, Abraham, Moses. We wouldn't know about all of them if they didn't tell their story. So I'm glad, like a lot of those people, the notable people are the ones who've been through stuff. They were thieves, prostitutes, yada 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 yada.
The
You know,
persecutor of Jesus too.
yes,
His best. Uh-huh.
come on. You know, those are the ones that God uses. So if you want to say, you know, like all you need is the Bible, like the Bible is full with people like us that been through stuff. You know, and they talk about in the Bible being a kinsman redeemer, which means that we are kin. We have similar issues.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I'm going to get off of that, but I get what they're saying because they're coming from a traditional way of thinking. They're coming from being loyal to society and not loyal to, you know. But let me move on. Yeah, I didn't know this was going to be this long. This is good. I want to now move to strategies for building the support. Strategy. Let me change that because this is so important. Okay, and I'm changing that because it didn't go up. Hold on. Give me 1 second because I sure want to fix strategies for
What you did, Natalie? You did it like me?
what I do. No, what did you do?
No,
Oh yeah, I did. I know what you're talking about.
Ronald says, say he makes me repeat it, and my accent don't let me say. I say strategies, and he say, "No, baby," and then he says
Strategies.
the word, and then I said, "That's what I said, strategy, baby." No, say, and I'm like, I'm saying it, strategies. He's like, he said, just don't say it on your live. I'm like,
It's okay. We understand that this is
strategies. He's
this
like,
is
no,
some English is her second language. Look, but
yes,
she's still carrying the message. I just I get what you're saying. Strategies. It's
yes.
some words that I stumble over. And English is my first language. But yeah, I wanted to add trauma. Strategies for building trauma support. What does that look like? And remember what I said. I said the difference between just building a support network and building a trauma support network is different because the ones that are in the trauma support network not only can help you get to goals, they understand the history of trauma that you've been through. Like I would give an example earlier, like if you had asked me like years and years and years ago that what, I want you to go on stage and I want you to speak about helping women,
Mm.
my trauma would not have allowed me to do that. I'd have been like, there's no way in heaven. Because in my mind, it would have been like, people going to talk about me, people going to laugh at me. All these wrong messages that I developed way back then because of my trauma is going to be triggered. So it's important that I have a support network around me who understands some of the trauma that I've been through. They need to understand that certain situations can trigger me. They need to understand that. I don't need anybody to say, just go do it. No, like here, we don't just say, just go get your life back. No, we're demonstrating how to do that. And we're doing it in a way that helps people who experience trauma because you have to be kind to us. You have to be sensitive to our needs. One thing about me, I want to share this and talk about a strategy. This is really important. Like just because we all experience maybe similar traumas, that doesn't mean the same thing triggers us. Like for an example, there are people that experience trauma, and when you're trying to support them and be a part of their network, you want to make sure that there's a certain way that you speak to them. You want to give them support, but you want to make sure that support is in a way that they will receive it and be apt to be less triggered. However, somebody like me, I'm like, you have to give it to me straight. Just give it to me. Tell me the truth. Like you don't have to figure out the words. Just tell me. That's me. And I experienced trauma. And that was probably because I came from a mother who was just like, and I had people around me who were like that, and for me, that works. Like tell me the truth. Don't sugarcoat it. I need to. So if you're in my circle, you're probably one of those people that can tell me the truth. And for me, the soft, and I don't want to say that I need it like in an angry, nasty way. I'm not talking about that. I don't need you like to fix up words. I don't want you cursing at me, but I don't need you to fix up words. Like, let me say this word because Natalie, that doesn't work for me. But there's somebody else that experienced trauma. You will have to come that way with. It's really important that, you have the people in your circles that will not traumatize you. It's really, really important. So let's talk some more about strategies. It is so important that the person that you are bringing into your support network will hold you accountable for doing things. But if they're going to hold you accountable, we may not need you to say, So why didn't you do that goal? See, you ain't serious. We don't, they don't need that. What if you work with someone that's more trauma informed, or and they don't have to be a counselor, they just be informed about trauma, they will understand that, okay, so whatever the assignment was that we gave you, let's try it differently. Like what do you think will work for you to reach this goal?
Absolutely.
What is it that you need? So, because we can't be telling people what they need, they need to let us know. So you need to have somebody in your circle that's willing to listen to what you have to say. We don't need anybody coming from a place like, I know I've been there, so you just do what I say. We also have to understand that some people, when they go into this new level, they have to get a support network to understand that, yes, I want to fulfill my purpose, but I'm afraid. I've never taken risks before. I've always been in a place of safety. I never did this before. So just don't tell me to go out there just like that. So for someone like that, it'll be good to, like, when you go to places, like, have a partner with you. Like, link up with a partner. There's accountability partners I have in my life. As much as I know what I know, there's some emotional things that can trigger me. Right. And this I don't know if Brooklyn's going to come. Sonia met Brooklyn. My dog that I recently rescued. This was about August, September, that I rescued. My grandson and me. She is now a trauma dog. Now, I don't experience trauma a lot, but I can tell you there's been traumas in my life that came out of nowhere. Like, I had a panic attack. Like, I remember going to New York on a visit like a couple of years ago, when on the train on the L, I got off the train and out of nowhere I had a panic attack. So, when the train leaves the track, all you see is like the tracks, and you're all the way down. I could not walk to the stairs. I literally couldn't walk to the stairs. And I called my daughter. I think I called my daughter. And I was like, I did call my daughter. And I was like, I can't move. I literally can't move. And I knew she didn't tell me what to do, but I just needed her on the phone with me. So what I wanted doing is sitting on the platform. It came to me, just sit on the platform, wait for the next train to come, because the next train that's going to come is going to cover the tracks. So when a train comes and stops, then you make your way to the stairs. I had no idea that I was coming from anywhere. Like, I used to experience more panic attacks, like when I was in a domestic violence relationship. And like years later, it happened to me, right? So Brooklyn, who's my trauma dog, I got her, like, because I was in therapy, we're talking to my therapist. There's things that I'm going to do, which is outside of my comfort zone in 2024. So I wanted to make sure that I had a trauma support dog, and she's not an emotional support dog. I just want you to understand, she's a trauma dog, that she can go with me places. So if I feel uncomfortable, just having Brooklyn with me. And what I taught her to do was DPT, which is deep pressure therapy. She's a very friendly dog. She's really small. She's a Shih Tzu, but I had trained her, like, to get on my lap. Like, there's signals, and get on my lap, and her putting pressure on me is a way of calming me. And there's sometimes even in the house, I'll pick her up and I'll hug her. And the minute I hug her, she just gives me that soothing feeling. So there are different things that you can do, to help you with different things that you're going to need to have and to go into this next space. So having coaches like Sonia and I, we're here to help you with a plan. Like, we're going to figure out what coping skills work for you. Brooklyn, it works for me. First of all, I love dogs. I love her, but she's also gives me that added support. So I was able to take her on a plane. I was, free of charge. I was able to do all those things. Brooklyn is brought her to Sonia's house, and we did the vision party. It wasn't Sonia's house. It was somebody in the family. I like anonymous. So there's different coping skills that you can develop, and we can help you develop them if you are not aware of those on your own. And one of the things we can help you with even is, how do you select that support network? There's an assignment that I give, and I develop a worksheet, and I couldn't link it today because I needed the link to PayPal, and I had difficulty going through PayPal. But right after this live, I'm gonna link it. So I created this worksheet. One thing I want you to know: when Sonia and I talk about that we have worksheets on for sale, just know it's not going to be one page. It is not. Sonia's worksheet is a 3-page worksheet. I think mine is 3 plus the welcome page. You're going to get more than this one sheet. For the
Absolutely.
price, you're going to get more. So I created a worksheet to help you learn how to build a trauma-informed network. It tells you like what the steps you need to do. You know, it helps you assess who's in your life that may not be supportive of you, that you may say you can't go with me. You know, it tells you about assessing who, you know what, I'm not even gonna say no more. You need to buy the book, buy the
Yes.
worksheet, buy the worksheet. It is
Mhm.
going to give you the step by step, a lot of great information because I really we put thought into our worksheet. I will sit there and I'm very anal and I think it through because I'm thinking based on like what did I need as a trauma, someone who experienced trauma. Like I want to make sure I didn't just throw anything at it. I want it to be precise in a way that was really going to impact you if you do the work. So if you're interested, come back to this link later on this evening and click and purchase the worksheet. Um,
Absolutely.
the worksheet right now is $5.99 for a 3 or 4-page worksheet, which really should be a workbook, but we're marketing our worksheets as 3 pages. We want to give you information. So get it $5.99 because after January 31st, all our worksheets are going to go up to $9.99. Like Sonia mentioned, I'm in the midst of creating this workbook, which is really, really in depth.
Mm.
That's why it's taking a little bit more time. I'm putting a lot of information in, and that will be $19.99. And even with that price, you're going to get a lot. So if you feel somebody that you're not ready to sign up for the coaching program yet, and you will one day to get that one-on-one work with us, or when we do group coaching, utilize the worksheets, utilize the workbooks. You know, we don't just put anything in there. You know, I bring what I learned over the years in my counseling experience. More so, I bring it from my coaching experience because counseling and coaching is 2 different things, but I bring some of it and I pack it in there. So take advantage of that. Come purchase it. You know, we had our first purchase of Sonia's worksheet yesterday.
Thank you.
Awesome. If you're watching this talk show, whether you're watching it live or the replay, thank you for that purchase. Thank you. And we're not just going to say thank you. You know, hopefully, you know, not hopefully, Sonia's going to get with you because we want to make sure we give you some support. And personally, thank you for purchasing the worksheet. All right. So those are things you have to do. You have to get someone in your circle that understands what you have been through, that just won't tell you to go, just won't push you. There's sometimes we got to nudge you a little bit more. There are times, but just understand that you have been through trauma when they think about giving you suggestions and thinking about supporting you. They need to understand that. You know, and again, there's so much more I can share with you, but for the sake of time, that's why I'm encouraging you to get the worksheet or take advantage of our coaching programs because we have a lot to share. You
Absolutely.
know, we have a lot to share. Um, I want you to remember that building a supportive community takes time. You know, and it's okay to face challenges along the way. You know, I want you to join us, you know, in our conversations each week because we're going to give you some tools, some tips. We're going to make the worksheets and works available. We're going to make coaching programs available if you're someone who's really serious about accomplishing that goal. So you're serious because you know on your own you have not been able to do that. Stick with us. So whether you do the coaching or the worksheets or the talk shows, you're going to get information from us. That's going to help you make some steps into what's next in your life, you know. So if you like what we heard today, I want to encourage you to subscribe to our channel. You know, we're small, but we need your help in building this community. So please hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification button because just hitting subscribe will not notify you when we go live again. It won't notify you when we upload videos. So hit that subscribe button and hit the like button. That is so important. It helps the algorithm on YouTube Live. So hit the like button and share the live. Tell
Absolutely.
somebody about it. Maybe this may not help you, but it may help a family member or friend. Share our lives, and go back and check out our other lives. I'm just so excited. This was for me. This was great. I hope it helped a lot of people. But if you want more of the strategies and more of what to do, get the worksheet and follow us. So this is part 4, and I'm so excited because next week is part
It's
5.
yeah,
Yes.
part 5, which is going to be sustaining progress and celebrating success, which I
Yeah.
think is going to be kind of like a recap of all the talk shows we did and everything, that all our goals, and see where we at on that, Natalie, which I'm very excited because I'm going to be showing off my vision board.
I was about to say yes,
In it.
yes,
So I'm
yes.
gonna show it because if y'all remember when we did the vision board, me and Natalie were in the same place. We were having the talk show at the same time, but there was some what was it? I had to work that day, and then I was at the place that we were, and I didn't bring all my stuff. I brought my clothes to change, and I did not bring my stuff. So it was some technical issues, but nothing that couldn't be fixed. So remember, January 31st, 2024, we're going to be doing episode 5, Sustaining Progress and Celebrating Success. Do not miss it
Don't
because
miss
we have so
it.
much information to tell you about our February talk shows. We are going to be
Ooh,
announcing to you, and it's going to be epic and thrill
ooh,
because
yes.
it's about love, relationships. Y'all don't want to miss it because we are
Don't
going to give you
miss that
first
one.
information on
Yeah.
our next month's talk show.
Awesome, awesome. Sonia, thank you for joining me
Oh,
in another awesome talk show. I mean, this was really informative. People don't know how much it helps us, even just to hear things and again, research the things. It really helps us. So I'm sitting there like, you know what? This was good. This was good. I do want to share one thing that I didn't get to share before we leave the live is that, I want to share like who is in my network of support. Who's in there real quickly and why I have them in my life. Right? Hold on one second. Right? So who I have in my support network who is trauma informed is definitely my therapist. My therapist, he is just so amazing. I'm real particular, and because I'm a professional counselor, I know I'm looking for certain things for my therapist to have. You know what? And he is amazing, and he's a he. He is a EMDR therapist. EMDR is an acronym, and I don't want to go through the whole thing now, but it's a therapeutic approach specifically for people who experience trauma. Oh my God, this man has helped me over the last year or so. As a result, I completed my book. I've done so many things. I still go see him now. Well, not see him, I see him virtually. But definitely, he is a part of my support team. I also have a coach who is a he. So, I did a lot of healing, like a he's. He is definitely awesome. He is the one that's helped me with She's Taken a Life business. He's there to help us grow as an organization. And I picked him as a coach because I watched his organization grow. And he does amazing work surrounding, help preventing violence around women by talking to men. Right. So he's been amazing. And how I got him as a coach is that I knew him for over 20 years. He was the ED, executive director of an addiction treatment program I worked in. And I was watching all the things that he was doing within that organization, the things that he was talking about. I said, I like the way he thinks. So when I made a decision to move south, and then I heard from somebody he had moved south, and I said, let me call him. Then I called and I said, you know what? This is what I'm trying to do. I need a coach. And I've always admired your work. I need a coach to help me. And he said yes. Sometimes you'd be surprised of the people. Not everybody may say yes, but you'd be surprised of people who are well knowledgeable, and you ask them to be a coach or a mentor or whatever, may say yes, because people like us or him, they like helping other people. who's doing the same work. You know, as a counselor, I was mentoring a lot of interns who was coming into the field. I enjoy that, but I've always, like always, not only with my coach, no matter where I went, I always make sure that I spent a lot of time in front of people who knew more than me. So sometimes there are people who I ask, can you help me? Most of the time I got a yes. Or I just spent time around them, just ask them questions, and they would help me. And they didn't know it. They was coaching me and mentoring me without actually having the official title. You know, I've gone on YouTube. I've gone and followed people who had a way of thinking and influencing people in the way that I love through mindset work. They don't know me. I don't know them. But you know what? They're in my network of support without even knowing it. You know, there's many people. Like I have my sister. Like a post I put my sister. She is such like my biggest cheerleader. Now she's not trained in trauma approaches, but what she does do that helps my trauma, she is the one that tells me, like, I am so proud of you, sis. You just mommy would be so proud of you. Those things, even now as I'm saying it, like tingles are going through my body. She gives me that sense of, oh, and it just means a lot because it's coming from her. And my mother has passed away, and I call my sister mom. And she's my older sister, only a year old, but she supports me like that's my sister. She supports me like you know what. So she definitely helps me when I'm feeling like I may have a little bit of self-doubt. She say like just go for it. Even when it came to writing my book, What About Me? Healing the Soul of a Daddyless Daughter, I spelt it all out in that book. And there were parts of that book that I wasn't sure should I put in there. And I remember going to my sister, like, Steph, you know, there's people in that book. And even though I changed names, there's stuff and I, you know, should I, shouldn't I? She was like, go for it. Go for it. You know, so she helps me out in that way without knowing that she's helping me in a trauma informed way. And I have my daughters, and I have, oh my God, it's just so many people I've been blessed, but my network of really ongoing support is real small. Definitely is Coach Sonia. Like Sonia said, we're on meetings every week. We're in Messenger almost every day. You know, she doesn't even notice. I think I may have said this to her. Sonia motivates me without saying anything because Sonia's a go-getter. She's going to put a video on TikTok. She's going to put this post up, and I'm sitting behind the scene like, look, I'm the CEO. Let me get out there and put some stuff up there. Sonia is not going to make me look bad as a CEO. So she really, I mean, I am so glad to have really on a real level, Sonia, glad you are on my team and glad you're a part of my circle of support because I feel so confident. And it's been just the two of us for a while. I feel so confident with Sonia and I that, you know, we're going to make this happen. And we've been making it happen. And I just wanted to say this, and I'm going to turn it over to Sonia so she can share her circle of support. And we're going to get out of here after this. But you know what? I'm so glad that we have Coach Julia back with us. She had took some time off, and she joined us for our first meeting with the three of us on what's today, Wednesday, on Monday. I'm so excited. You know, Julia's gonna be working behind the scenes. She's a really thought-provoking, creative person. That's why she's on the team. And I'm so excited to have her back. Oh my God, I feel like, you know, one of our family members have come home, and you're gonna see more and more of what we have to do because of the support that I have in my life. Sonia?
Yes, absolutely. I would like to share about my support network, which I'm going to say I do have my therapist. I have a therapist. I do have a counselor that is available when I need her. I can just make an appointment. That is if needed. If I feel like something did go wrong and I feel like at that moment I need to speak, I call the number and I can just speak through someone and then get an appointment if I still need further. But I do also have that 1-800 number, Natalie, because I do have through my therapist and everything, I do make sure that I have this number from my medical insurance, which is, I'm going to say Kaiser, which I have this number they provide me that if anything, I can always call at any time if I feel like in any type of threat or that I'm in high risk of anything, either a relapse or a nervous breakdown, anything. And I love it because it's available for me, and I
Yes.
know that If anything happens, all I need to do is dial this number and not say, well, I didn't know what to do. Well, I was lost. So I have that availability. And just know that if you don't have that, you there's always 1-800 numbers if you ever need, and they're free. They are free for you to reach out. There are all the hotlines that you can call for domestic violence, for
Mhm.
suicide, anything. If you ever in need, just call them one eight
We're gonna
hundred.
start posting those numbers on
Yes.
our lives starting
So
next week.
yes, I have those, Natalie, but I also have, like everybody knows, like Natalie, one of my main supports is my husband. Um,
Yes.
Shout out to my husband Ronald. I'm gonna say he's one of my biggest supports and motivation too.
Oh,
And he also makes sure that he holds me accountable. Actually, he holds me accountable for what I said I'm gonna do. And when I'm slacking, he'll make sure he say, "No, that's not what you said," or "Why?" And then he try to be my therapist. He'll be like, "Why did you feel this way? Why?" And it's great, even though I get annoyed at parts. But then I have to stop after a while and I say, "Thank you, baby, thank you," because it really helped me. But it takes me that minutes because I'm stubborn too, and I'm like, "Oh, I don't want to do it right now. I'm gonna do it later." But I
yeah.
know that later is gonna be like later is too late now. So he does hold me accountable, but he supports me. Not only holds me accountable, he don't judge me. He holds me accountable, but he'll be like, "Okay, I'll do this while you do this. Okay, well, I'll put the baby in the room, let him take a nap, and you can work on this." And if I'm overwhelmed or stressed, he'll be that person that will tell me, "Go take a bath, relax. I'll take care of her son. I'll do this, or I'll fix dinner, just relax." So he's always holding me accountable for what I got to do as she's taking her life back. Even as in my job, he'll tell me if I wake up and I feel like I don't feel like going to work today. I was just like, "Oh, can I just take?" He says, "No, you got to go to work, baby. Come
Mhm.
on, you're an assistant manager and they counting on you.
Mhm.
Come on, you 2 more days and you're gonna be off. 2 more days, you got this, you got this." And I'll be like, "I got this, I got this, I got." And then I'll get dressed and I'll turn around and I'll tell him, "I ain't got this, baby." And he'll be like, "Yes, you got this." And I'll be like, "Okay, I got this."
Yeah.
He drives
And can I say something about Ron? Look,
me.
look, 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 look. I'm low key hating, right? Check it out. So we have our virtual meetings, right, every Monday. So Sonia comes on the meeting and she's sitting on this chair, right? Leaning on this chair, and she's telling me how the chair has the buttons for the massage and all that. And she's saying, "Yeah, you see what Ron gave me? He gave me this chair to sit on because I'm having a little bit of cold, and then he had me this drink." And I'm like,
Gotta take it.
I want to Ron. Look, I want to Ron. This man takes care of her. Like, she in his chair in the meeting with a little button and the massage thing and a little cup. What do you had? A cup of tea? I don't know what you had. A cup
Tea,
of,
hot tea,
I'm
hot
like,
tea, green tea. Yeah,
uh. He said, "Baby, you're going to take your life back, but I'm going to make it comfortable for you today."
brought me a whole thing of Theraflu. Drink this. I'm like, and don't get up the bed. I'm like, oh, it's not even late. But yes, and
I thought it was so cute.
yes, I also want to mention my sister Natalie. My sister, Edith. She's a supporter. She's taking her life back too. Um, she does come in a lot. She does check out on me, even when
Awesome.
I be too busy. She'll check out on me. But she's one of the persons that always told me, even when I was in, and my older brother, but I have more relation. Like I have great relationship with my brothers and sisters. But I'm saying my sister, even when I was through my addiction, she was like you, Natalie, very honest and very much. She would tell me what I was doing wrong and
Mhm.
why I couldn't come over and why I needed to get my life together. She was
Mhm.
always honest, and I didn't like that at that moment when I was in that. But when I started getting a clear mind and everything, I noticed that what I always thought it was hatred and she don't like me, it was the love of
Love.
a
Yes.
sister trying
Yeah.
to bring her sister back. And now
Yes.
she still calls me. She said, "Hey sister, I saw you on YouTube," and she'll be like,
That's
"You looking so
awesome.
good, and you're doing so much better than from the beginning, and
That's
you're
awesome.
not nervous." And she'll be telling me, "Keep doing what you're doing, and God loves you. Don't forget about God, and don't forget what God did for you, but
Mhm.
continue doing that." But she always reminds me too. She's on a very spiritual side. My sister coaches matrimonies through her
Oh.
church. She do that. She is a God supporter. She can help anybody that is going through any struggle and the spiritual way. And she
Awesome.
always tells me, like, to pray for this sister. We're praying for you. You're gonna continue doing this, and you're gonna achieve your goals, and you're gonna finish this, and you're gonna be an exceptional life coach. But she motivates me too to continue doing what I'm doing. My children, um, they grown. Some of them, I got my baby still, but my oldest son and my daughter, that is the third one, Samantha, and is Renteria Samantha, was in our New Year's Eve live.
Okay.
Um, even though he lives on, what you call it, Washington State, and my sister is in Texas, my daughter is in Texas. They always make sure we always in touch on Messenger, but they always tell me how proud they are, and that really helps, Natalie. That hearing your children telling you, "I'm
Yes.
proud of you. I'm proud of what you become.
Mhm.
Continue doing what you're doing. Don't stop. Continue helping other women because somebody you're gonna change somebody's life. You're gonna touch somebody, and that's what I want. I want to be able to make that difference and tell
Yeah.
women out there that it is possible, that we do heal,
Mhm.
that we do heal. So yes, I can keep going, but right now,
Awesome.
Nanny, and you, she's taking her life back is one of my biggest supports because that's my backbone right there. That's where I get
Yeah.
all my information. I keep my brain.
Wow. Wow. This is the longest show we have. It was awesome. We're almost at two
Mhm.
hours, but it is just awesome. But ladies, and even if you're a man watching this, don't forget I will be linking the worksheet, the 3 or 4 page worksheet, in the description box. It'll be a link there, and again, it's only $5.99 up until January 31st, and then it'll go back to the regular price of $9.99. And look forward to our workbooks, which will be $19.99, and starting next month, our official coaching program. All right. So let me turn it back over to you. If you got anything to say as we leave out?
Yes, I just want to tell all our viewers, like Natalie said, if you're watching our live or if you're watching our replay, remember to subscribe. Remember, hit that notification bell. We are trying to build a community here. If you are a person who has experienced trauma, that has gone to therapy, I always say that, and you try to move forward in life, but you feel like you're stuck, like you're missing something, you're going to find it here. Find what you're missing. Find what you need to strength on. What is it that you need to work on? Send us a message, inbox us and tell us, hey, I'm trying to work on relationship. Can I get, and we'll do a live on relationships. Maybe you want to know about how to break free from self-limited beliefs and stop thinking why you can't do it. Let
Yeah.
us know. Message, comment. Let us know what you want us to talk about, what you
Yes.
want to hear, and we can help you in that way. But you need to leave a comment. We cannot read y'all's mind. You all have
Yes.
to communicate and
Comment.
let us know. Communication. We are building communication right here so we can build a community. So please inbox, send a message on our chat. Would you watch our YouTube live? Please let us know what you think. Please answer some of these questions. Please let us know who is part of your support network. Let us know what works for you and what are you looking forward to get out of your support network. So
Yes.
that thank you for joining us tonight. This is She's Taking Her Live Back YouTube Live, a
Right.
women's word talk show.
See you next week.
Absolutely. And follow us on TikTok and Facebook, a women's word talk show.